Thank you for coming to my office. Please see wherever you would like. I noticed that you look nervous. You are not in trouble. I asked you to see me because I noticed that you're failing spellcasting. It's none of my business on what happens in other teachers' classes, but I didn't want to overlook what was happening due to the school's way of teaching. When I started working at this academy, I never liked how things were taught. It's such an old way of teaching that it doesn't help today's generation. But at the time, I just started teaching, so I was in no place to try to correct the teachers before me. However, I have become tired of seeing people with such potential fail their classes. I am not allowed to tell my students their rank in my class, but I will tell you yours. You are at the top of my class, and most of your other classes. You have so much potential that would be thrown away if you fail spellcasting. So, I have decided to ask you if I could be your tutor. I know it's against school rules to tutor a student, but I want to see what you're capable of, so long as the school doesn't interfere, and if I get you back on track in spellcasting, the worst that would happen to me is a slap on the wrist. And if you surprise everyone, I might be able to convince the head to reform how everything is taught. But if I do fail you, I would be demoted. Even though there is that risk, this is still something I want to do. I know exactly what you're messing up on. It's such a simple error that when made on small spells, it's nearly not noticeable. But as the spells become more complex, it can cause it to backfire. So, I will ask you again, will you let me tutor you? Thank you. Now that you're letting me teach you, there is another reason why I called you at the end of school. I was hoping that we could start right away. Will that be okay with you? Good. Now let's head over to the training field. After you. If anyone sees us, tell them that you asked me to supervise while you practice. The school is weird with its rules, but it's how it is. Why are there rules preventing teachers from helping students? The school believes that if the magician's unable to learn from the little amount that's been taught, they will not be able to improve. Because of that belief, they drop students before they could even understand what is asked of them. Why did they start believing that? When I was in school, my history professor told us about the first magician. If I remember the story, it went on the lines of this. There was a small tribe in Edid that was forced out of their homes by distant countries. The new settlers had tools unimaginable to the people at the time. Soon after they arrived, foreign people quickly overpowered them and forced them out of their homes. Cold and hungry, they all gathered around the fire. None of them knew what to do, but one person had a thought. What if we learned to recreate the power of fire? None of them knew what they meant, but they all were desperate and every thought mattered to them. They knew no magic and had no idea how it would work, but they learned and created the first spell, Combust. With their newfound power, they would try to learn more spells. In this new wave of knowledge and a brand new field, they would forget all about the people that took their homes. Instead of fighting them, they decided that they would travel around the world in the search of more knowledge. Because of that story, the school believes that everyone must learn on their own without guidance. Give them tasks and fail the ones that don't complete them. The thing that bothers me the most is that there's more to that story. By the time they had finished traveling the world, they had all grown old, and they knew that all their knowledge would be lost alongside them. They came together and decided that they would teach every town magic as they headed back to the land that was taken from them. They would all die before they made it back. But every town they visited learned magic. And because they were taught, they were able to defend themselves against the foreigners, sparing them from the same fate. Yes, they learned how to do it without being taught. Every teacher in this school walks on the pathways that were paved. Why? Because it's more efficient. Teaching magic should not be any different. Sorry, I should have better control over my temper. Teaching is something that I had always been passionate about. But ever since I started working at this school, all that I had been able to do is follow pre-planned lessons and walk around the room with the checklist. Today, I'm glad that I'm finally taking action to make changes. And like in that story, even if I'm unable to make the changes myself, I hope that my actions give the ability for other people to take charge. Why did I pick you? Didn't I already tell you? I saw potential in you. Despite you not being naturally gifted like the others, you haven't been removed from the school. You managed to get far past my expectations. You kept on learning. You never failed. You made mistakes and learned from them. You got all the way here because you worked for it. Because of that, you are the person I wanted to teach. You know that there is much more to learn, and that's why I picked you. You have a willingness to learn, and I can use that to get you past all the other students, and maybe even past all the teachers. I hope I'm not putting too much pressure on you. I would be more than happy to see you pass by the skin of your teeth. I just don't want to see another person fail due to this academy. You would do your best. Thank you. And I'll do my best teaching you. In time, I will teach you all that I know. From there, you will begin to become far better than me. Maybe one day, you would be the one to teach me. In the past, you would be called my apprentice. But ever since magic has started to be taught in a classroom setting, apprenticeship has become almost non-existent. I always thought that apprenticeship would be nice. It allows the teacher and the student to improve with each other, learning magic by doing it in the real world. But apparently a book filled with questions is better. Maybe one day I could take you to different places. You will be able to see what kinds of magic is being used, and you might even find a specialty that you wish to go down. The world has so many different jobs that use magic. You're honestly spoiled for choice. But because of that large variety, I often see my students struggle to choose. And that, or they go into a specialty that is not what they thought it was. But this is something that I can't blame the school for causing. It's not easy to describe a job using only a few words. Do you have an idea what specialty you want to go down? Well, I hope you're happy with all the decisions you make. Okay, now that we're at the training field, I want you to relearn the basics. If you ever get stuck in whatever you do, go back to the basics and look at what you could improve on. Let's start from the beginning with the very first spell. I want you to use Combust. Over there are some hay bales. Focus on it and cast the spell. Good job. But this time, I want you to do it like this.